Hey guys, this is Owen Boku coming at you with another movie review, and this time I'm reviewing Shrek the Third. And I'm going to apologize for not having posted again for a while, and the reason is because I've had some issues going on at home, and there's been a lot of things dealing, and long story short, I've had a lot of trouble with internet. But hopefully I'll be getting that taken care of soon. And as you can see, like I said, the review today is Shrek the Third because this is actually supposed to be first before Despicable Me, but I completely overlooked and allowed the film to be overshadowed. And once again, I apologize. That is my fault, but that is what ends up happening when you have that stuff happen. And I will honestly say that if it happens again, I will always keep going back and doing it because, there's tons of movies that I have to review for you guys that I've not yet watched. And I have a huge, huge library. And there's films I have watched countless times I'd also like to review for you guys as well. So there's just a huge, huge library and tons of things that I have to do. So other than that, there's just a lot I need to do, and I do apologize to you guys for not always getting that done on time and on when I need to really be doing it. The one thing, though, getting into Shrek the Third is I know when this movie came out, people were for it, but then after they viewed it, a lot of folks said that, Shrek the Third was not their best film, wasn't the greatest, wasn't the most well put together. They said, why make it? And I agree. The first two were good. It should have ended there, but it didn't. And, that the first one is my personal favorite, they continued on and they kept making more and more films. The one thing that I can honestly state, though, is that Shrek the Third, even though not a great film, it's a good film, but not a great film. Even though not a great film, it is not a particularly bad film. It doesn't have the greatest story, but it still has good things taking to it. Basically, the film starts out with Shrek and Fiona, still living in far, far away. They're still living with the family, and apparently Shrek and Fiona have taken over duties for the king and queen because the king is sick and he doesn't have the power and the will right now to do his duties, so Shrek and Fiona take over. And in a lot of hilarious motions, you see Shrek and Fiona basically doing what they've been known to do, is that they keep, trying to do things, but they can't fit into the, royal attire. They're bad at giving commencement speeches. They're bad at, sending people off, because like when Shrek throws a bottle at a ship, he throws it so hard it breaks into the ship catches on fire, people are running out really fast trying to escape, they're fed for their lives. When Shrek is supposed to be at a commencement, he's in the tight clothes, he can't scratch himself, and he has somebody named Filsworth use a brewer's stick to scratch his butt, and he's like all doing it in public, and it's embarrassing, so the life isn't for him. And, they're brilliant, they're still brilliantly voiced by Mike Myers and Cameron Diaz, who do a good job and a heck of a job at that. And when they go meet the king and queen, who are still voiced by Julie Andrews and John Cleese, still brilliant voice actors as well, we learn that the king is dying, that he's, been sick and he's dying, and as his dying wish, he wants Shrek to take over the kingdom. Shrek doesn't want to do it because he's like, come on, me, an ogre king, that's never going to fly, that's never going to work too well. And the king isn't so proud to hear that, but he gives Shrek a way out and allows Shrek to see what he can do, and, he can help out, because apparently there's one more remaining heir who's the last of the family line, whose name is Arthur, who he goes to pick up and take, and to do his thing to take over the kingdom of far, far away. And as we see Shrek, see me a moment. Also been dealing with the cold. I apologize. So just give me 1 second, guys. My apologies. My deepest apologies. Because I know that's gross. But what we see is we see Shrek just jump at the chance and he's ready to go and to accompany Shrek on this mission to find the new king. You know, we have Donkey and we have Puss in Boots, there we go. Still brilliantly voiced by Antonio Banderas, and Eddie Murphy go with him to accompany him, and there's a whole bunch of good frogs and romps there that are just awesome to see and hilarious. And right when Shrek leaves, we learn that Fiona just sort of yells back at him and tells Shrek that she's pregnant. She didn't want to tell Shrek at first because she figured out Shrek would react. As you could imagine, when Shrek learns that Fiona's pregnant, he takes it, badly. He, is imagining like there's 1,000 babies like him, causing messes, causing danger. He's going to have to look after them all. And, he just, the whole idea of being a family man scares him. So he's off to find the king. And during this entire time, Prince Charming, who is brilliantly done by Rupert Everett, who I think really gives the performance of the film, is reduced to being in dinner theater, that basically the fairy tale creatures, the gingerbread man, Pinocchio, the 3 little pigs, the blind mice, and the big bad wolf make fun of him for, and all the people far, far away make fun of him for, and he's being humiliated. And because he survived the second one, he didn't die with the mother, he survived, and he just wants to have revenge on Far, Far Away, take his place as rightful king, and claim to have what he says is his. And in many ways, he, is going to find some way to pull off this plan and do it. So when the king dies, he notices and he sees Shrek leave to find the new heir, or at least he notices that Shrek leaves, so he goes to bring together in the dark woods all the former villains who, have had their lives ruined by the heroes or the other creatures who've had good stuff happen to them. And he's trying to corral them to work together, which at first they don't want to. But then he tells Hook, Rumpelstiltskin, the evil queen, and the trees from the evil trees from the Wizard of Oz, you guys could have this. You could always be expecting this. Let's go take it back. So they agree with Prince Charming to just take it back, and he goes and leads an assault on Far, Far Away. He kidnaps Fiona and, the queen, and basically, is taking over Far, Far Away, and he's going to have a trap for Shrek. And that's what I loved about Rupert Everett's performance, because he still plays Prince Charming as a bumbling, I'm in love with myself fool who, hey, I'm sexy. But, at the same time, he gives an air of intelligence to Prince Charming, which is what I love what Rupert Everett does. And, he just really gives a great performance in this film, other than the second one where he was just like a bumbling fool and a mama's boy, and he's just there. So Rupert Everett gives a wonderful performance. And, for instance, when we have Shrek and the others meet up with Arthur, they get to Camelot, which is like a prep sort of high school. And we see how there's everything from, typical teenage girls, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off sort of thing. And, Arthur is basically the school wimp. He's being picked on. Nobody likes him. Guinevere's not in love with him. She's repulsed by him. Lancelot treats him like a bully. And, it's just bullies him and treats him mean. And, there's just a lot of hilarious things that go around there. And Arthur, who is voiced by Justin Timberlake, actually does a very good job. And he, gives a lot of humanity to Arthur. And the funny thing is, Arthur and Shrek actually help each other out. And they build this son sort of father relationship. And they help each other realize the flaws that both characters have, which is just awesome to see. And overall, there are other great guest stars in this film. Like you have Eric Idle, who voices Merlin, who actually, used to be at Arthur's high school, but after a mental breakdown was forced into exile from the school and had to do his own thing. And he's sort of like a bumbling fool and someone who's just like gone insane. And he looks like on the cover here, he looks like how Merlin did in Sword in the Stone. So I think that's where they got the idea for Merlin and Arthur from, was from Sword of the Stone or the Sword in the Stone. And we basically just see how Eric Idle plays Merlin all zany and his magic isn't what it used to be, and it's just so great to see, which he's another one of my favorite characters throughout the entire film. And then you have other cameo things, like you have Regis Philbin play Mabel, the ugly stepsister. I think the other stepsister, Phyllis, or Gretchen, is still voiced by Larry King, which is also amazing to see that Larry King took the time to voice that. You have Ian McShane do Captain Hook. You have, I think, John Krasinski do the voice of Lancelot. You have Seth Rogen, who does the voice of the ship captain in that movie. You have a whole lot of other good characters. You have all these Disney princesses, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Rapunzel, all show up, and they're brilliantly voiced by comedians Maya Rudolph, Sherry O'Terry, Amy Poehler, and I forget who the other one is, but they're just like great voice actresses and great cameo characters, supporting characters to boot. So it's just great to see how that all takes place. And there's also a great movie score by Harry Gregson Williams. He brings that epic quality once again back to Shrek the Third, where he makes it whimsical, but yet it's comedic, and we enjoy hearing what we get from it. And overall, the themes of the movie are still there, which what I think this movie is good. It's like teaches you about having to care for a family, responsibility, knowing one's true self, and just preparing for the future. So the film also has a great role modeling mentioned to it that just fits really well with the film. And if you want to like a deeper rooted, I think with a bit more extras added into it, go read my review for this film on snappow.com. You'll probably learn a bit more, a few extra things that I did about it on the website, and I'll go into a bit more greater detail. But overall, I believe Shrek the Third, deserves a tie between 7 or 8 out of 10 stars, because once again, it's not the greatest film, but it's not a bad film, and this film was definitely worthy of earning, a good spot on my list. So, I can honestly say, if you've not seen these Shreks, see the first two, and then see this one, see what you think, but overall, it is a great film. So, once again, a shout out to everybody who worked on this film well, including, Rupert Everett for a great role as Prince Charming, and I will hopefully get to you another movie review as soon as I can. If not, I'm still having the internet issues, and hopefully I will take care of them soon. But until then, I will talk to you guys next time, alright? Later.